Hey traders, Jason here from Levitt Brothers. So in this video, I'm just going to go over some recent trades, okay? Really simple, just going over some recent trades. The market has acted really well recently, okay? Stocks are coming out of bases, volume's pretty good. They're holding their gains. They're building on their gains, moving up like a second or sometimes a third time. The character personality of the market has definitely changed, okay? It doesn't do you any good to debate whether a bottom is in place or we're going to revisit the lows or we're going to take out the lows and do a lower low or whether we're going to have a recession. Like, I guess, in the long run that probably matters, but like right now, all I know is the market is acting really good. Stocks are acting really good and we have tons and tons of opportunity. Maybe we rally and then 6 months from now, we come back down and visit the lows. Who cares? Right now in the present, we have a lot of opportunities. Maybe there's a recession in 2026. Who cares? Right now, there's a lot of good trades to be had. Okay, you'd be foolish to just sit on the sidelines simply because we might have a recession in the summer or in the fall or next year. Okay, if you look at a lot of charts, you come away from it knowing that, like, wow, there's a lot of good setups. Stocks are acting well. There's money to be made. Let's go. And if the market drops at a later date, who cares? Stops will take you out and you made a lot of money. All right. You can't wait till every box is checked before you act. Okay. When stocks are setting up and doing well, you get busy, you get active, you get engaged. All right. Let's go through some trades that we've had just in the last couple weeks that are, acting really well. All right, here we go. All right, here's Archer. You can see it was basing first couple weeks of April, popped out, moved to our first target at 8.5. Then it flagged for, 4 or 5 days, 6 days, and then it popped on Friday, moved to our second target. Overall, stock is just flat going back like 6 months, but who cares? We had a decent base. Stock held the gains. It was playable. Here is ARM, came out of a base, as you can see, flagged for a couple days, and then moved up. This is still a live trade for us, okay? Everything looks good here. We got a bigger dip, smaller dip, moves above a resistance level. You can see the 8 and the 21 moving averages come down. At first, they were resisting the stock, okay? Over here, they were a little bit of support, rejected the stock here, rejected the stock here, but then they became support. Okay, and now the stock's moving up. So this is one of our live trades going on right now. Here's Black Sky. Came out of a base, as you can see, flagged, and then has continued up. It's a live trade. We have a target of 10 on it. This is what I'm talking about. Like if you go back a couple months, this stock would have come up, gone a day or two, and then it would have gone right back down into its base, into its lows. But the fact that it flagged sideways for several days and then moved up again, that tells you that personality and character of the market is changing. Here's Kava, decent base going back 2 months, took out a resistance level last week. This is also a live trade for us. Here is Constellation Energy Corp. Basing pattern looks like the market, lower low, big low there, higher low here. Finds some support over here by the 8 and the 21, moves through a previous high, holds the gains, and then continues up from there. Okay, a couple months ago, this would have kind of moved up here and just come right back down, but the market has changed. Those gains are being held. Stocks are following through. This was a good one. Here's Coinbase. This one we've had to change a little bit because we profiled it over here as a good long. It broke out. It moved up. At the time that it broke out, at the time that we profiled it, our target was 220. But the stock moved up and it flagged here underneath 210. So that kind of changes it. So instead of targeting 220, this move here now measures up to 240, which based on how the market is acting, that's appropriate. Okay, market acts well. We can shoot a little bit higher with our targets. We can shoot higher. We can assume that we're probably going to be able to hold longer when the market is not acting as well. We're probably only going to be in for a couple of days before we have to get out because the stocks are going to give profits back. All right, here is Robinhood. Stock gapped up. We actually profiled it over here. Okay, so we didn't make that first move. We were actually looking for the stock to consolidate here at the previous high, maybe do some backing and filling to a key level or key moving average. They also had earnings. So this is a stock that we profiled and said, let's see what happens. And what has happened is we have, a range has built here, and it looks pretty good for it to move up and trade. It's pretty volatile within that range, but if it can quiet down in this range, then we're going to, look for a move out of the range. Probably going to target higher than 55. Here's Joby or Joby. I don't know how to pronounce it. But anyways, came out of a base, flagged sideways, and now it's moving up again. And Lunar, okay, aerospace stock coming out of a base. And the routine by now. Like, it moved up. If the market was weak, it would have come back down to 7. It would have just kind of continued at a lower level. But the fact that it moved up and then held the gains in here for more than a week and then started moving up again, that looks great. Okay, so our target here is 10. If it pauses here at 10 or pulls back at 10 and is very shallow at the pullback, does very minimal damage, then we're going to look for a breakout at 10 and probably move up to 12 or 13. Okay, a lot of times when the stock moves up through its declining 50-day moving average, it takes some time. Okay, the stock hasn't based long enough to allow the moving average to come down and flatten out and actually offer some support. So the first time it moves up through there, you're either going to get a push and then it's going to come back and retest as the moving average kind of flattens out and starts to curl up, or it's just going to flag there and just give the moving average some time to flatten out. So this one looks good, and this one probably be another one that, if the market continues to act well, we're going to probably play this again a month from now. All right, METC. So we profiled this one coming out of a base here, moved up to our first target, as you can see, at 10.5. And since then, it has been just kind of consolidating within a ascending triangle, same highs, higher lows, prices getting squeezed. Our next target is 12. So first target hit, now we're eyeing our second target. MicroStrategy, a little double bottom over here, single bottom here. So that in total we have a double bottom. We profiled it over here coming out of the base. Our first target was 350, which was essentially like the highs from, it's a big fat whole number, the highs from there. And then it kind of just slowly moved through that level and went to our second target at 400. This one looks really good. 400 here, key level, 400 here, now key level. Even if we get a pullback here that gets scooped up by its 21-day moving average, that would be great. You get a nice move like this, pull back to the moving average, and then we're going to get another trade-off. Okay, so we've already gotten one good trade-off. Hopefully we get a little backing and filling, a little bit of a pause, and then we'll get a second trade-off. And of course, if we're going to look at trading MicroStrategy, we're going to consider the leveraged version of MicroStrategy. So same type of setup here, double bottom on the bigger picture, moves up to our first target. This is mislabeled there. But our first target was 8, which was just the high there. And now we're targeting 10. Same thing. If we can get a little bit of a pullback here, get scooped up by the moving average, we're gonna get a nice move, probably up into double digits, maybe even up into the teens. Netflix has been on a huge roll, huge volume, just a fantastic trade. This was a clue that the market was improving, because if the market was weak, this would have been lower low, come up, get rejected by a moving average, lower low again, just do a whole lot of nothing. But the fact that it perked up, dropped below a low, and then recovered, came up here, rallied all the way back up here to a previous high, and just went right through it. There was earnings in here that certainly helped, but it doesn't take away from the fact that we have a strong stock trending up, trading in a wide consolidation pattern, and then it just kind of slides up from there. Oklo, this one just live trade still going on, broke out last week, as you can see. We're targeting 30. No big deal here. It's like the market is acting well. If the market wasn't acting well, it would have done this and they come back right down into its range. But because the market's doing well right now, breaks out, Thursday, quiet day Friday, looks pretty good. Is it going to go off to the races? I'm not assuming that. The moving average, as I previously just said, is pointing down, so we need a little bit of time to move sideways. But it's nice that the 8 and the 21 are now, curling up here and supporting the stock. So even if we move sideways, it'd be great. If we moved up and then came back down and tested, that'd be fine. If we move sideways here, it'd be fine. As long as the stock doesn't fall back into its range, I would consider it, to be acting well and improving. Palantir was a good one for us recently, as you can see, undercut the lows here just like Netflix did, came up, consolidated near a previous high above the 8 and the 21 here, and then went through 100 and just has been in a straight line back up to its high. This one looks great. They have earnings coming up. Hopefully they don't have a huge gap up after earnings. It'd be great if earnings were good, but the stock, maybe sold off afterwards. Maybe there's some profit taking, and maybe hopefully there's a fade back into the middle of this range here, the range being between 100 and 125. And if it could fade back into the middle of that range, we'll get another trade-off for a move much higher at a later date. SMR, no big deal here. Weak stock trending down, but then it just started going up and up and up, and it wouldn't give it back. Okay, if the stock was weak, if the market was weak, it would have pushed higher, taken out previous highs. Everyone gets excited about the fact that maybe a low, a bottom's in place, and it would have come right back down into its base. But stock is acting better, market's acting better, so it has kept up. Right now, it's in the 17.5 area. We're targeting 20. Tesla, a live trade for us, came out of a base. They had earnings somewhere in here, I forget which day, but they have earnings. You can see it pop. Now it's been consolidated all last week. Everything looks great here. I'm not predicting like it's going to go back to its high, but let me see if I can draw a frame here. But when you look at just the base here, big rectangle pattern going back a couple months, certainly with the market acting better, volume looking good, the stock is likely to break out and go well above 300. Probably into the mid 300s, maybe the high 300s. All right, so that's all I have for you. Again, market's acting well. You got to separate your political opinions from trading. You got to separate your macroeconomic opinions from trading. If the market is acting well and it's giving you opportunities, you cannot wait till all the boxes are checked in order to get involved. Okay, take the trades. If the market revisits the lows at a later date, who cares? You'll get stopped out of positions. But you'll go long for several weeks or a month, and then you'll get stopped out, and the net of that will be really good profits. You just can't wait till all the boxes are checked. If the market's doing well, stocks are acting well, get involved. All right, hope you got something out of this. And of course, at Levitt Brothers, we profiled all these, done really well for the last couple weeks, last month even. So if if you find yourself having the wrong bias, consider having a little voice in your head that's kind of nudging you along, saying, hey, get involved. All right, we'll see you next time.